So this frontside 180 is actually super close, and this trick is sort of just one of those really tricky, counterintuitive things. So let's go and just break it down from the start, and we'll look at the other angle. So the first thing I'll note is with this in run, it's going to be really hard to do a proper setup carve. But speaking of proper setup carve, you're getting on your heel edge quite a bit early. We would like to see you coming in sort of more on this approach, light toe edge, light toe edge, light toe edge, and then right here transitioning to the heel edge. That's going to give you a stronger base and a foundation. That's going to help you just get a little bit lower and a little bit more controlled. We can also see that if we go back here a bit, your wind-up position, well, it is happening a bit. We could see it go a little bit more exaggerated and a little bit more towards the back foot, give yourself a little bit more room for range of motion. But these things are like small adjustments, and you do a good job of delaying the snap. But notice how the board is now starting to go and pre-spin. That's because you're missing that initial little bit of a setup turn that will go and help you lock in that edge. Because as soon as we set a heel edge position, and this heel edge position is really good, chest over knees, chest up, like I'm a really big fan of how this is positioned and looking at this point. But we can see that it's causing your board to start sliding a little bit early, and now the whole trick's happening with you angled this way instead of straight off of it. So a little bit of setup carve here, a little bit of toe edge, more delayed, coming into that heel edge, is just going to give you such a more powerful base to go and feel controlled, and that's going to give you more room for upper and lower body separation. The main issue we're seeing here, though, is your snap is stopping. So if we go back a few frames, see how you're now having your pop just only go up, and look at how your upper body is staying in the same position for an extended period of time. That's making it so you're not actually channeling much rotational energy, and that's why you have to use counter rotation right away. Counter rotation is a great thing to be using on front one, but when you use counter rotation at this point here, what counter rotation does is it completely mirrors your position. So if you counter rotate as your nose is pointed up and you're heavy over the tail of your snowboard here, as you counter rotate, boom, that same exact position is reversed. And now we're seeing that you're needing to take your upper body and drop it into the actual jump itself. And that's why you're sort of like free falling here and you don't really have that control. So the fix for this is extremely simple. 3 things I want you to do. First, that setup carve, we want that base. It'll give you more power and that'll just make it so you don't need to pop as much. The second thing is you're overextending your legs. So see how your legs are extending almost completely straight here? Look at where this is putting your center of mass slightly towards your heels, and that's why as you come into your toe edge, you got to pull your upper body forward to get it onto that toes. So what I want you to do is keep more bending your legs and have this be your maximum extension for the takeoff position. And the last thing is timing. We need to delay the snap of your timing so that way you're continuing your throw the whole way off the lip. So snapping, 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 boom, right here. This is when we'd want the tail snapping off the end of a jump because your upper body's still rotating, your legs still have a bend in it. We could see the chest a little bit more exaggerated over the toes, and yeah, that would make it so the trick comes together way, way better. The philosophy we want to use here is 90% power is done through rotation, so setup, carve, snap, and then 90% is done through counter rotation. And we don't want to activate counter rotation until like right here for the last 90 of it, where the board's already leveled out. So that way we're not getting that weird tail heavy landing. If we go and look at the other angle here, we can see that you're coming in, a little bit of a setup carve, but see now how your shoulders, hips, and everything are angled towards that corner. I know a little bit tough of a shape, but cleaning up that setup carve is going to really help. And then you're snapping, see how your upper body hits this extended point, see how your chest is now pulled away from your knees. So if your chest is going all the way from down here to all the way up here, your rotation is being thrown backwards towards your heels. And that's why it's so hard to keep that rotation over the toes, and you need to go and take your upper body and artificially crunch it down. So I want you to think about what position do you actually want to be landing in, this position? What position do you want to be taking off in then? We want to be taking off in a very similar body dynamics to the landing. So that means if we had your takeoff happen right here, you would have had so much more control, so much more power. So I just delay everything by a board length, and I'd make sure that you keep your chest over top of your knees. Combine that with a setup carve, and I think these frontside 180s are going to be no problem for you.